Hello friends. So in this video, we will look at some of the important key areas that are important in newspaper. And as I have been repeatedly saying, newspaper reading is the most important part of a civil services examination. So that is what we will see in this series, or we have already posted few videos about this MOA Gazette, which are all very important for mains. So you can look at for those videos in the links below. And we'll today look at two key important areas which I feel are going to come in mains 2023. This is how we have we have decided what are the points to be discussed or what are the issues to be discussed. I am taking it based on the importance that it is going to come in mains 2023. And the first topic that we are going to see is about this forest amendment bill. In a sense, whenever you read a topic, read using a newspaper. If you clearly watch, just by thinking about the points from some area will not give you the contextual understanding. Contextual understanding, by which what I mean is that this is a Forest Conservation Act amendment bill. So they want to amend this bill which is there. So you need to have a proper context of the bill. The proper context of the bill, if you see, you have to know that this bill, when it was passed, so if you see, it is actually a bill. Earlier it was introduced, but they had delayed it because of some problems, but it has now been passed as well. So the complete bill has not been passed. So what are the, first thing you have to note is when it was passed. So if it is a recent thing, this is a recent thing, hence I feel that this is going to come in mains. So please note this down. And next point that you have to note, what are the changes that they are proposing which is causing an issue. See, there may be so many changes that they will cause, but what is the issue pertaining to that topic is what you have to see. Third is the background information. Background information is that you have to know, for example, Forest Conservation Act, okay, Forest Conservation Act, what it primarily does. You don't have to know the elaborate things of where it started, who it started, when it started, and things. See, when it started, you have to know the date also, 1980. So when you know that, you should also know the context. Before that, Wildlife Protection Act was introduced. After this, air pollution prevention control, water pollution prevention control, and in 1986 there is Environmental Protection Act. If you see, one collaboration of acts will be passed between 70s and 80s. So this background information, little bit you should have. So once you have that background information, always then see all the this is the mounting thing. So this is the background, then you will mount this, and then what is the implications. Always in newspaper and civil services, just by reading the points, it is not enough. You have to know what are the implications. So we'll see the implications and the things about this Forest Conservation Act. First, you should know what are the issues. Okay, what are the issues? If you see, in these issues, there are so many, or three important issues they are talking about, or four important issues they are talking about. The first issue that the article talks about is that this act, okay, this act actually increases, or sorry, decreases. This act decreases the scope. So look at this. This decreases the scope of the definition of a forest. What are they meaning by that? If you closely watch, this act was passed 1980, and the point is that forest has to be defined. That is, forest conservation means I have to define this is the particular area of a forest. That is actually defined in the act. But what happens is that there is a Godavarman judgment. This judgment, you can use it in your other papers also. This Godavarman judgment, what it does in 1990s is that it expands this forest, or the definition of forest is expanded. Earlier, whatever forest is decided by the act, so IFS officers and the bureaucrats tomorrow who you will be, you will decide this is the forest. But what this Godavarman, what they did in this judgment is that they said anything, elaboration, okay, anything, if slight tree cover also include that. The point is that, as I previously said, whatever you read, have a context and a background. In this background, as I said, the legislations are the background. But here, when you look at this increase in forest cover, you should also think about the forest policy. Okay, forest policy, they wanted to have 33% forest cover. Even today, they are not having 33%. They just have 23%. So 33% they wanted to have. So this, see, if you look at it, so they are wanting to increase the forest cover. So that particular verdict in 1996 also wanted to do that as well. But what happened is that after this verdict, certain states did that. Okay, certain states agreed, and see, certain state means IFS officer. Tomorrow you will be there. So you are there and you take this job on you and you start delineating forest, increasing forest. If it is brought under the definition of forest, you cannot clear it. You get this idea? You cannot clear it. One of my friend who is an IFS officer, he was talking to me about IFS officers are like, you know, devil's advocate. Or he was saying that they may seem like a person who is stopping development, but they are actually doing the work of important work of protecting the forest. So here, if you see, if you increase the forest cover, your development or supposedly development activities in the area cannot be done. So you are potentially preventing forest. This kind of thing, if you happen to see, this also is a raging issue in Brazil. So earlier, the person who was there, they actually removed that Amazon forest. But now the government has taken another stand that protecting Amazon forest. It is about the policy that you take. Now you have taken, see, now the point is that now the policy, earlier policy was protection of this forest. Now the policy they have decided is that anything which is defined only. See, if they are defined legally under the forest, they can be protected. Very closely, if you watch, earlier stance also was that, but that verdict actually increased and more states gave this expansion of forest definition, and you cannot clear. But now the point is that they are saying whatever is defined, you don't clear it. Other things you should not consider as forest. The problem arises is that, so what the article says, okay, the article, if you see, the article talks about two things, two regions. Examples. See, in reading paper, this is the most important thing that happens. You will not get these kinds of examples. Delhi capital region, and one more thing, Aravalli. These areas have not been defined under this verdict. They have not been defined as forest under this verdict. So what is potentially can happen is that, can we remove all the trees here? Already this is being denuded and exploited by the mining people. You have case studies, GS4 case studies specifically for Aravalli regions. Delhi also can happen. And already Delhi is a place where you know how much pollution happens in February and things like that. If you remove all these trees, what and all problem will come? So when you're reading, see, when you're reading itself, as I told you, the background is important. Implications. You look at this point. Implications. See, just reading what will happen. See, these are the points. These are the points which are there. They have taken all this step, correct. But what are the implications where it will affect? So now the second, see, this is the first point. Second point is that, okay, second point is also here. Second point is kind of some GS paper 4 ethical dilemma. This you can write as ethical dilemma also, GS paper 4. What this talks about is that the second provision says, if for example, okay, if for example, any road which is there close to 100 kilometers, that is any road which has to, any linear project. Okay, any linear project that has to be done, or that means linear project means road. If it has to be done in this area, that is 100 meters towards the border. So this can be here also. 100 meters towards the border, then there is no need of clearance. So you can clear the forest. Why they have done this? You think about it, because if you see, China is building in this area. They are potentially creating, potentially creating villages in this area. So see, if we have to hit back, if some war happens now, we cannot again think about whether our infrastructure is good or not. We have to hit back. So you need the potential road here. So that is why government has given this clearance, and border development, border roads organization under the military is very well equipped to do construction work here. But the point is that, again, implications. The implications of this is that already you will know this is a very fragile zone. Fragile meaning not only land, it is also an earthquake prone zone. This entire area is prone to earthquake. So see, plus and minus, there will be a policy, means evil will be there, positive will be there. But the positive, what we are thinking about is national security. Whether national security has to, so that is why I said it's an ethical dilemma. So second point is about this ethical dilemma, which is there. And third point, so after this, the third point goes. Third point is that they are also saying for ecotourism. Okay, see, any construction that is ecotourism, parks and things. Okay, for this you can clear. Okay, third point they are saying. But again, the point will come as that if you see protection, enclosures and things like that, correct. But are they going to clear the forest? If they are going to clear the forest, implication. The first paragraph talks about how India wants to reduce, or India has opted for 2070 as the cutoff date for reduction of all this CO2 gas. So when we do all this, green cover will decrease in India. Should we also go in the path of destruction as this Brazil went in the previous regime, or we have to take another step? So that is the point of this. And one more point they have added is that in this, they are not talking about any Forest Rights Act. See, Forest Rights Act is a basic fundamental act for devolution of power to tribal regions. So if you are talking about forest, we have to talk about this act. But this amendment does not talk what in terms of Forest Rights Act it is going to affect. So all these cases actually are creating a lot of, this is the point, this is the issue. So whenever you read paper, see, don't read paper just like that. Read it with the intention of understanding the issue, the background, and the implications. This is the key word, implications. And as I said, this is going to come in mains. But now we'll go to the next topic. So first topic we discussed this. Second topic is about this data protection. Data protection is very, very important. Okay, this time I feel see, all the things which we are discussing, I feel are going to come. So this data protection, I'll talk about this data protection again, same thing. Mains, it is there. So what is the background? What is the implications and things like that you should know. Data protection becomes a very important factor. 2017, there was a question. What are the implications of Puttaswamy case? So, 2017, UPSC asked this question. What are the implications in privacy according to Article 21 for Puttaswamy case? Puttaswamy case is nothing but Article 21, right to privacy. So in this right to privacy, if you see, it's not. So now you have this data protection. So they are bringing in a law modeled on EU, okay, European Union. So if you happen to see your data, and there have been so many COVID leak, many things are happening where all our data are like lying there. Other data will be lying somewhere. In Europe, all this is crime. Okay, Europe, data protection is or if you don't protect the data, it's a crime. But now India, we don't have that concept of privacy at all. Our privacy is actually everybody's concern. That is the most important selling article in newspaper also. But the point now comes is that data protection. Again, the issues. So now you have to talk about the issues. Protecting data is correct, but what is the devil in the details? You can see this. You can check this as essay. Devil is in the detail. When I speak about data protection, it is actually correct. You have to protect the data, but the devil is in the detail means what it implies. So now you see they are actually wanting. So this Ministry of Information and Telecommunication, what they want is that they want RTA Act. See, look at this. They want RTA Act exemption. What they are basically saying is that this data protection, so a data protection clause will apply if, for example, personal data is involved or private data is involved. Data protection in RTA Act, let us assume that you want the data of a particular person who has who has borrowed a lot of money from a bank and has fled away from the country. So that becomes NPA, non-performing asset. Let us assume that you want the data. Under the RTA Act, you can get that. This is what is the empowering provision. Okay, accountability provision, transparency provision. This is the provision. You can go get the data of the person and you can charge that person in the court, or you can put it in the media or something like that. What this Data Protection Act says is that if, for example, the data is of a personal or a personal data, so name of a person is a personal data. So what they say is that we cannot give that. This is the clause. They say that it cannot be given, or they want to amend that. There will be so there is an they want to amend a specific clause. So now if in this there is a specific clause that they want to amend. So once you amend that act, once you amend that specific clause, what happens is that you may not give away the information. What in this article discusses is that it is not only about the data of a person. Rather, all these data are significant for maintaining accountability of the governments. What they say is that the data of people who are contesting in elections. So all this data has been made public. So criminal antecedent and your assets and liabilities of the legislators. That is how we have come to recognize that so many billionaires and millionaires are part of this parliament. How did we know? Means it is because of the RTA. They have to publish this data. And as I said already, NPA data, that is non-performing asset. There were so many lists. Many fled away from the country. How it was possible to get the names of the people means it comes under RTA. Now, if the data protection applies, you will not be given that data. In the name of protecting the personal data of a person, I can have the discretion to disclose whichever name suits me. I can say that this person has given NP or resulted in NPA, and I can give out the name. But the point is that I can use the same clause and not give the name of person whom I like. So that becomes a discretionary aspect. So this actually violates complete the fundamental, RTA Act. And one more thing that it describes is about the PDS system. PDS system and the ration cards. The ration cards earlier and all, if you see, getting a ration card was the most important job of a counselor. Any person in 10, 15, 20 years, if you go back, the most important thing that a person would have done as a counselor is to get this ration card. Getting a ration card was very, very significant, and it was difficult also. But now you can get the ration card. But the point is that there are different names added, wrong names added, list is enlarged to increase the subsidy or to diverge the amount of whatever food is there. So when that happens, how do you find out? That can be found out by RTA. So when personal data is, this applies means you cannot do that. So if you see, this is basically RTA. RTA is not just an information sharing or information giving act, rather it is an empowering act. This was a UPSC question. It is an empowering act. What is the mean? It is not merely, I'm not just giving you the names of the persons. I am empowering you to take action, accountability action against the defaulters who have gone wrong and who have run away from the country. So when you read with the implications, and this is actually an UPSC question. So when we read newspaper, we are not only going to get the informations which are there in the act, we are also going to get the issues and the implications. Civil services, implications is the most important concept that they have. This will be a question in GS paper 4 or GS paper 2. See, data protection in GS paper 2. But if you see in this RTA will come in this GS paper 4. So this is what I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope this discussion was useful. You can put any other thing that you want me to discuss. We'll keep on going about this discussion in the way that we use it for mains in an appropriate way. Keep reading newspaper. This is the humble request I will ask you. Read newspaper. This exam, UPSC exam, is not about notes. As I keep repeating, it's not about notes. It's not about anything else. It's just about knowing the basics and reading the newspaper. Thank you for joining.